the guy, all right, there are 12,000 things you might say about Tallarico. The way in which he treats barbecue, and then his fucking, they respond by showing him eating a turkey leg? The fuck is the matter with Democrats? Huh? You chided Tallarico for using a napkin because real Texans don't search for sanitary paper products until after it's all over. What the fuck planet am I on? Huh? Son of a bitch. Too fucking hot, too fucking stupid. And here we are. 250 years and I'll grant you, we made it this far, and it's great, and we're being, are we being tested again, or this is really the way we should go? Wow. And we act as if, it's great, but we're babies. We are babies, we're infants in comparison, and it's a remarkable achievement what was written in Philadelphia. Remarkable. The Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the Great Experiment. It's an experiment. That's what it is. And it's always been an experiment. And it should continue to be an experiment. Because that's what's important. And it's an experiment in the sense that you bring everybody here and see if they can live together. Because you need to find that out. Why? To see if the world can survive. Why? Because it's important. That's what we are. And to continue to fight that, to continue to believe that there's a thing that people shouldn't criticize the folks who, the fact that there was some problems morally with those who did the country, and you shouldn't talk about it. You shouldn't talk about the fact that the president, once again, you can't really bring up the subject of the fact that we came over and essentially went after the native population here. Boy, you really can't bring that up because that it takes away from the bravery. What the fuck? What does it take away from? It takes away from the fact that you want to leave a lesson behind if you do nothing. With the 250, 300 years, if we make it 400, you want to leave the lesson behind. You don't do that to people, okay? You want to show the mistakes. You want to know what those mistakes are. And you want to rectify them and move on, and that's all I got to say. And I want to thank you all for listening again to me just going off on and whining over it being too fucking hot for me and not having air conditioning. There's a rantcast for you. God, I really do. For those of you who didn't have air conditioning, I feel for you. For those who have to go through it, I feel for you. For those who have to deal with this insanity here. The fact that, I worked hard. How come you can't have air conditioning? Only in this country, where we have enough for everybody, hopefully. We don't even have it, we do. And we have enough for everybody, and we still can't build enough spaces for them, and we certainly can't make those spaces comfortable enough. And if you live in Texas, they can't even get their goddamn electrical companies to work. So that is all I have to say. Thank you for paying attention to whatever it is that I've been saying here today. No, I really do appreciate it. That you guys listen to my nonsense. What I really think is important is that you listen to what the folks who are writing in have to say. You listen to their rants. There's some great ones coming up this week and next, and then I'm going to take a break. But I hope you enjoyed what you're going to be hearing, and please, I hope you have a splendid week, and I hope that your 4th was spectacular. I really do. For those of you who live in those small towns where you have those parades, good for you. I'm not a big parade man, but I hope you enjoyed yours. Take care of yourselves. That's what really counts. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other. That's what's important. That's the lesson. Nice hot.
Come heavy water.
Again. Hi guys, it's me again. Today we're going to talk about the video game layoffs. Xbox did over 3,000 layoffs yesterday, and I think this is the beginning of the end. And really, if you look at especially their staffing before COVID and now, it's pretty obvious that they kind of overhired. But at the same time, I think that we are seeing a very big recalibration. I think that for anybody who had a brain or a set of eyes, this was kind of obvious that it was happening. You can't have a $100 million studio that releases a video game, and the game gets 3,000 concurrent players. It's just really not... you're just not making enough money there, right? It's just that simple. So this is what's happened, I think, for quite a while, and people have been trying to, I guess, like, you know, warn people, hey, look, this isn't working, these games aren't working. And today I just woke up. I didn't stream today because I wanted to lay in bed all day, but I was laying in bed and I was reading Twitter. That's usually what I do for stream research, and I saw that there's another company, id Software, I think it's ID or id, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but it's the people that made Doom the Dark Ages. Also, they're doing huge layoffs, and people are like, oh my god, this is such a shock. I said, really? Are you sure it's a shock to you? Look at the amount, like, I bet the pre-orders for the expansion for the game that come out today, like, nobody gives a shit. The pre-orders are probably, like, really low, and then the game launched to, like, a, 30,000 player audience on Steam, and I know somebody's gonna say, oh, but Game Pass, oh, you can play it on Game Pass. Yeah, you can play Expedition 33 and Stalker 2 on Game Pass, too. It doesn't mean that a lot of people didn't still buy it on the fucking PC. So, the reality is on Steam, I mean to say. So, the reality is that, yes, I do think this is good metric, and, you know, every time that there's one of these games that comes out, and they're like, oh, well, no, this isn't a good way to look at it, or whatever, it just seems to be proven right sooner or later, but one way or another, the outcome is the same. So where does this really lead us? Where are we going? Where is the video game industry going? I want to talk about it on a macro level, on an economic level, for marketing, on like mid-level games, small games, etc., right? So I think that basically, if you want to take big picture, and then we can kind of distill down from that, the first thing that I think that a lot of these companies are trying to do is they're trying to become platforms. They don't necessarily want to be, I'm talking about Sony and Xbox primarily, and there's also going to be large PC companies that are going to be doing things that are similar to this, such as Epic Games with Fortnite. What they're really trying to do is they're trying to capitalize on being an ecosystem that people use their software and their hardware ecosystems in order to enable them to take a piece out of the pie of Fortnite transaction fees, right? And same as Roblox or anything else. Why would they want to go and do all this other crazy, you know, put all this work into everything, whenever all they need to do is just make something that people can buy, and then they can coast off of Genshin Impact waifu sales forever. So that's, I think, the direction that they're trying to go in, and that's the reason why they're trying to move all of these studios off of being first platform and then to being third platform. It's because basically now, if you're the captain, you've got to go down with your ship, and if it sure seems like the way that things are going, there's a lot of sinking ships. I mean, I saw some of these games. Like, there was this one game, they canceled the studio, right? Or they had it go independent. Okay, this is like, okay, we're gonna send you on we're gonna send you out on a life raft into the North Sea, and no, we're not killing you. You can go out there. I want you to go to the North Pole and meet Santa Claus. You know, and you know, I wonder what's gonna happen, right? And so this company, they made a video game, and it was about making pottery, and it was like a Mario Party pottery. It was the most Reddit fucking game I've ever heard of in my life, and I remember watching it and thinking to myself, like, does anybody give a fuck about this? And I looked at the Steam chart, and it sure seems like they didn't. There's like 200 people that played the game. So how is it that you can make a video game that, like, if you were to make a Venn diagram between people that obsessively collect Funko Pops and people that like this video game, you'd have a circle. And you think this is going to massively sell and it's going to keep your studio afloat. And I understand that people think that, and there's a lot of blame. I think this is unfair. There's a lot of blame towards Phil Spencer. Phil Spencer used to be the guy in charge of Xbox. Well, guess what? I'm sure Phil Spencer didn't tell them, no, guys, it's great for you to make $3 million whenever you spend $50 million. Oh no, there are no performance expectations. We want you to make video games that nobody likes. This is what we want. We want you to take your remember your 6th grade theater project idea? Well, we want you to make that video game. I don't think Phil Spencer was saying that, but apparently that's what a lot of these companies were hearing. And so you have all these companies that are making these games for nobody. Nobody gives a shit. And then now you have, and I think that there is a lot of institutional ideological capture. I talk about this a lot, and that's because I think it's a much bigger threat and a much bigger problem than you guys might imagine. So this is a good example, right? So you have these video game companies that are talking about, oh, well, we won these awards. Well, then you're winning the awards from the people that are benefiting from the access journalism into your fucking video games, and then they give it positive reviews, and then after that, you give them credibility, and then you give them, like, privileges, and then they give your video game award. And so it's like the most embarrassing, hipster, liberal version of the human centipede that you can ever... Yeah, it's the human centipede, but it's rainbow colored, okay? So, guess what? I don't think a lot of people like that. You have, effectively, capitalism that's been replaced by credentialism. And the problem is the credentials are fake, but the numbers, the money, is still real. And that's the problem, is that you can give out as many special awards, and you have these... I read this, I'm gonna get triggered, is that there is an IGN article talking about, oh my god, oh no, these video games that won all these awards, they won all the awards and they're losing. Yes, because nobody gives a fuck what the awards are. You invented these awards, you invented criteria, you invented these credentials, and you built an entire ecosystem, and it's nothing. It doesn't exist. It doesn't matter. But these people think that they can build basically a, elaborate tapestry of fake credentials that they can insulate themselves from the effects of the accountability of capitalism. That's what's happening. And now the chickens have come home to roost. And it's a pecking party. And I'm happy to see it. I'm very happy to see it. I'm so glad all these nasty, retarded, useless, shitty fucking devs. And also, by the way, I understand people get sometimes triggered whenever I say stuff like that. They say, well, you can't say that because there's a lot of actually good devs and they're following bad decisions. I think that you're definitely right to some extent, but I don't think you're right to as big of an extent as you think you are. I think that just like in every other job, in every other place, there are the 80-20 Pareto principle where 20% of people do 80% of the work, and so when 80% of the people get fired, usually not a lot changes. So that's what I think happened with Twitter, and I think that's what's going to happen with a lot of these companies too, is that you've had these massive overhiring pushes. You've had every single developer and every single game designer that now thinks that they are the next misunderstood, troubled artist, Neil Druckmann, which is really just a pale imitation of Hideo Kojima, right? The GOAT. And so, you have these people that think that they're actually, one step away from directing a Netflix series that has 8 seasons like Game of Thrones. These pathetic, failed theater kids is basically what I'm trying to say. And they're insufferable. The stories are insufferable. And the reason why they're so insufferable is because their characters are self-inserts, and nobody likes them. That's the reason why. That's the same reason why they're so defensive over the characters. It's because, oh, you hate our characters? Well, wait a minute. I based this character on myself. I'm sorry, but I play video games to get away from people like Tosh and Dragon Age. I don't want to have to, that's the reason why I'm playing you. I have to deal with people like you in real life. I go to the grocery store, I see somebody like that, right? And it's like, oh no, right? You've got to deal with this person or listen to them or something like that. And so, this is the exact, this is supposed to be an escape. This is supposed to be your willing suspense of disbelief, right? You want to you want to have immersion, you want to be immersed in another world. Whenever you play these video games and you see these like very clearly, I think, ideologically driven decisions that they make, what you see happening is that, it's like it destroys that weight suspension of disbelief, because you're looking at it and you see it right then at that moment, and you're like, wait a minute, I'm actually just playing something that's a piece of propaganda. This is in the game because of the artist's viewpoint or something like that, and it doesn't really fit inside of the story in an organic way. And I think that's one of the things that people are kind of getting tired of, but I actually don't think that that's the main picture. I think the reality is that, Asha Sharma, who's the new head of Xbox, who I think she's great, I do, I think she's amazing. She said that there was 14 different layers of management inside of Xbox in order to make a decision. And I want to contextualize this, okay? And I want to contextualize it. Let's go back to 1999, very good year. The year that Office Space came out. So, inside of that movie, that was supposed to be a parody of corporate office American culture.
What's that? The other day at Walmart? Yeah. Oh, yeah, we grew up in the same town. The one we seen the other day at Walmart. Yeah, we grew up in the same town. I know. I wanted to tell them they looked absolutely stunning. Their hair like that, you know who they remind me of? I don't want to say anything because some might take it offensively, but I think it's a compliment. It reminded me of olive oil. I know. And they don't even have black hair. No, I was, that kind of classic beauty type look. I know, I wanted to tell them that, but they kind of looked in a hurry, grabbing some packages from Mom, probably. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, people can say what they want about stuff. It actually makes me really sad. Similar to the one we saw at the other place there, too, the 90s there. Yeah, people can say things. Yeah, I guess it depends on who you talk to. I think they're all very good people, actually. Trustworthy. Where it counts, where it counts. I mean, whatever. People might have encounters where they might think or hear rumors that people might be rude or mean or whatever, nasty. Yeah, it's easy to throw that stuff around, right? Yeah, I don't know. I've known those people for many years. Yeah, one my whole life, and the other since the 90s. I always liked them. Yeah, I can remember back in those days some people making comments, and I thought it was nasty. They were being nasty to them. Yeah. It's a matter of perspective. I had good conversations and close encounters with both of those entities. And I thought they were very good, nice people, like people you'd want around that you could trust, that is not going to hurt your kids or, they're gonna see something, say something type of people. Yeah, not in a overbearing or, yeah, they're the kinds that know how to let things go and draw the line where it needs to be, if you want my personal opinion. And when you hear which ones have those kind of opinions, it really, wow, starts to shine through. And it's sad. Yeah, it's that ones that you had trusted or opinions you had trusted, you start to see. I don't know what that is. My whole life I've kind of wondered myself. And then when you just see that those are people that get caught up in, some call it the limelight, gaslight, shiny things, TikTok, yeah, type of stuff. All around the mulberry bush. A tisket, a tasket. Old Mother Hubbard went to the cupboard to fetch her poor doggy a bone, and when she got there, the cupboard was bare. I can't remember what goes. And so her dog had no bone. I don't know what comes next. The sheep's in the meadow. Cows in the corn. Well, little boy Blue lost his horn, so I hope you know how to whistle. All I want for Christmas is my two front teeth. That's where that song came from. My two front teeth. What was the question? Oh yeah, if you want my personal opinion, did you get it? Was it in there somewhere? Awesome. I don't usually like to throw out personal opinions, so that's more of, I guess, a human observation, really, with an unbiased. It's an unbiased observation, honestly, for sure.
The amount of bosses that the guy had to turn in his TPS reports was 7 or 8. And so now Xbox, like 25, 27 years later, they are now twice as ridiculous as a hyperbole in 1999. That's how bad it is, okay? So it's massive overstaffing, total bureaucratic capture. Everybody is completely, like afraid of doing anything. You have accountability diffusion. So, well, it's nobody's fault because it's everybody's fault. Well, you know what the problem with that is? When that happens enough times, I guess everybody has to get fired. And you know what? Not a moment too soon. Because the fact is that if this is one thing that's taught us.
Macy's July 4th mattress sale is your chance to take up to 65% off brands like Serta, Sealy, and more. Plus, with a Macy's gift card up to $300, you can shop smart and sleep better. Only at Macy's July 4th sale, going on now.
hopped up, ready to begin. Styrofoam MCs, keep crumbling. Dirty hair stay tight, couldn't loosen with the ranch. These rivers run deep, Mariana Trench, picking up speed. Easy round the band, eye on the scope. Target focused in, my guitar is my gun. I strung it like the wind, zoomed in on the pole. Southern nation once again, so don't wait for me, my friend. I'm just wasting time again. So day by day, I will move on. Can't stop now, step too long. Day by day, I will grow stronger. Step by day, they will go longer. Day by day, step by step, live my life. No regrets. Day by day, I will keep moving on. Day by day.
Bright lights on, coming off the hinge, rambling on like a Led Zeppelin. I got my sword and my pen like man born again. Out of the abyss, starting to ascend. Top of the class, peak of the summit. Throw your worries off the cliff. Watch them if they plummet. Bandana and a hump, play it while you're strumming. Bobby McGee and Gunny B while you're humming like.
Don't wait for me, my friend. I'm just wasting time again. So day by day, I will move on. Just right now, step too long. Day by day, I will grow stronger. Step by day, they will go longer. Day by day, step by step, live my life. No regrets. Day by day, I will keep moving on. Day by day. Move forward, beyond the borders. Take on in, my day's gone. Stopping out there.
As anything, is that a lot of these developers, like smaller teams, smaller devs, they can really cook. They can make really good games now, and they don't need the same level of tools. They don't need a Hollywood actor that has a box around them, you know, pretending to be a Funko Pop cube. Oh, look at me, I'm a Jello cube. Like, this is the kind of shit that nobody fucking needs. Nobody needs it, and Xbox is realizing that nobody wants it either. And so anyway, what's happened, I think, that is that you've had this institutional bloat, this attempt at trying to make the video game industry mirror the movies and then music and I think also TV industry. And the reason why I think this is happening, maybe I'm being such an asshole. Actually, I know I am. This has been 12 minutes of me being an asshole so far. And so, but like, I think that all of these people that are working at these companies want to be celebrities. I think that they want to be seen as, like, you know, Christopher Nolan, like Guillermo del Toro, right? These visionary directors, these visionary writers, these people that are involved, because, like, there's a mystique around Hollywood. There's a mystique around, you know, like, acting and, like, music and these record companies, right? And, like, they want to be part of that, but they're just a bunch of fucking nerds. They're just a bunch of fucking nerds, and their theater projects weren't even good enough to get them accepted into high school, into a college, right? And so now they have their second chance, and they're making a video game, and unfortunately, that video game is called Mixtape. And so the problem is that you have a lot of these people that are making games that nobody is interested in for audiences that don't exist. And on top of that, you have the companies that are buying them have so many levels of bureaucratic overhead that there's no way that they can possibly function to make enough money unless they make their target audience everybody. Oh, well, if we make as many copies as we sell as many copies as Fortnite does, or I guess Fortnite's free, you could use any other Black Myth Wukong, 20 million copies. Sure, well, if every single person in China buys my bullshit, I'm going to be a billionaire. But I don't think they're going to buy it. So the problem is that you effectively make the amount of mouths you have to feed so big that you have a net that you need to use that's so wide that the fish slip through the holes. That's what's happened, and everybody, and you pull it up. Where's all the fish? Wait, you're telling me there's only 3,190 concurrent fish? I think we're gonna starve. And you know what? They sure are. And as I said, deserved. Completely fucking deserved. You made garbage. You created institutional, like ideological capture. You allowed that to be part of your actual company, identity. You didn't listen to the players. You have people that are openly antagonistic towards their audiences on Twitter. I mean, like, you just basically did everything wrong. And on top of it, and again, you can do everything wrong as long as the games are good. But the problem is that there is no longer the idea of the high quality, small slice, great, game that knows its audience. I'm thinking of games like, for example, Space Marine 2, okay? Something like that. It's a very, very simple game. It has a very, very defined audience. That was made, by the way. Amazing game. I can't wait to play the third one. But on top of that, you have other games that just really don't hit that mark. And they're trying to appeal to everybody. They're trying to be for everyone. Like Helldivers is another good example where it's like they had an ideal, they had a vision, they executed the ideal, they executed the vision. Now, you could be unhappy about the way that they've managed the live service. You could be unhappy about the PlayStation thing. I know I was. But fundamentally, I think that the real problem with all this is that there is a disconnect between the players and the developers. And the developers are no longer part of the same class that the players are. And more importantly, neither is the executive team. And I want to say one of the silver linings for any of the people that are very pro-dev on this is that if you look at the amount of people that have been fired inside of Xbox, and you look at the positions that were let go, there were a lot of chiefs that got let go. And I think that's a really great thing. We need a lot less chiefs. There are too many decision makers, and also, again, if you're a captain's supposed to go down with the ship, right? So if you're the one that makes the call, you need to be the one that's falling on your sword. That's the way I see it. And hey, Xbox is giving you a little push, but whatever it takes to get there, I'm happy about it. So I hope that this is the new direction of these studios. I think that, again, let natural selection take its course. Have the developers that are actually really great, that are well connected, that know how to make a good game. I'm sure they'll probably find jobs. It's sad that they lost their job. It sucks. But at the end of the day, I think this happens in every industry, especially as a recalibration from such a large, economic boom, such as COVID, is that I think that these recalibrations happen regularly, whether it's because of new technology, new research, or some other type of change in consumer habits. Whatever the reason is, this is not uncommon. And it's not a crime against humanity that a video game studio has layoffs. I hate how, every other company in the world has layoffs all the time. John Deere has layoffs constantly. Walmart has layoffs all the time. I went to Panda Express, and they have an AI doing the fucking, the drive-thru, right? Which is, I've always thought that's a good thing, because you go to Panda Express, it's literally double fake advertising. They don't sell pandas, and it's never fast. But the point is that that's one person's job that doesn't exist anymore, and it's going to keep happening. And so when I see this happen with video game development, I think to myself, what's more of the same? This is what's going to happen. It's not anything unique. I think obviously it sucks and people lose their jobs, but you've got to expect it, especially when you make something that ultimately doesn't make money. So I think we can expect to see a lot more of this. I'm curious to hear what you guys think about it. And I think at the end of the day, in the same way that, when a whale dies in the ocean, there's something that's called a whale fell, and it creates an entire ecology around the dead whale, and other life and other types of life forms emerge from it, and that is the circle of life. And I just hope that with some of these big companies, you will have some whale fells, and out of that we'll get a couple more Expedition 33s, because those people came straight out of Ubisoft. So I'm really, really hoping that's what happens, and I want to make a video and talk about it, because I really think that it's very odd. It's like the, like the Fibonacci spiral, right? It's weird how, things in nature also apply to human psychology, human behavior, human, economics and everything, in the same way that spiral applies to more and more and more things, doesn't it? And so the more things change, the more they stay the same. I'm curious to hear what you guys' thoughts are on all this topic, and kind of what you guys think, but I think this is a really great direction for the video game industry to go in, and I think that hopefully now we can have a calibration towards smaller teams, more defined visions, and also things that are not insulated by PR or by any type of credentialism. So anyway, before I kind of end the video 4 more times by talking about something else that I ADHD myself into, thank you guys all so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you again in the next one. Peace.
Take it like a threat now. That's how they be playing the game. I see the rhythm of the knife on the ledge now, but I ain't even trying to break a sweat now, cause I got another dragon to slay. Sometimes it feels like I'm living a dream, but I know that it's real, cause I'm still fighting for it.
But the muscle picture, I colored it a little bit more. I'm still not finished with it. I was working on some other ones. Well, I mean, you don't have to call it work. I could say I was playing or messing around or just doing some other ones. In my head. At least in my head. I got all the blueprints. I got all the blueprints.
Separation of church and state, and why Catholicism should have no place in government. We're led to believe that if Christians have power again, they'll start... It's very obvious Catholicism does have a huge role in government. Like, I mean, the same way that, Muslim countries are generally, informed, their laws are informed by Sharia law and by their own culture, in America and in Europe, it's generally informed by Christianity. Not entirely, but to an extent. Unnecessary wars of religion, just like the Crusades. Yes. But in reality, there are few events in history more misunderstood than the Crusades. Really? This is why I'm making this video. Okay, let's see. The popular understanding of the Crusades is dead wrong, and I'm here to explain why. Alright, let's hear it. In this video, you'll be finding out why the Crusades were not only morally justified, but were actually a historic achievement. Buckle up, because there's a lot to cover. Wow! Let's travel back in time to 600 AD, that was a long time ago. Roughly 500 years before the First Crusade. This is a map of the Christian world at that time. All the highlighted areas show where Christianity had spread and become the majority religion. That's a lot. Wait a minute, is that the Middle East and North Africa? Yes, it is. These two... It's not a surprise at all. Yeah, of course.
areas used to be Christian.
Yeah.
People today think of these as Muslim lands, but that was not always
No.
the case. It all began when Christianity spread far and wide after being legalized by Emperor Constantine the Great with the Edict of Milan. This led to the Christianization of both the Western and Eastern Roman Empire. Even as the western part of the empire fell to barbarians, Christianity remained, and most of the barbarians also converted.
Yeah.
So if that happened in
See
Europe,
that?
what happened in the Middle East and North Africa? In the mid-600s, Arab warlords sprang out of the Arabian Peninsula and began conquering everything in their path. They brought with them their own religion, Islam, and unlike European barbarians,
Oh, shit.
they did not convert to Christianity. The Middle East at the time was dominated by two superpowers, the Christian Eastern Roman Empire, or the Byzantine Empire, and the Zoroastrian Sassanid Empire. Unfortunately for them both, they had just fought each other in a gigantic war lasting 25 years
Holy
and drained
shit.
themselves of key resources. Because of this, neither was prepared for the invasions that hit them. The Byzantines lost all of Africa and the Levant, while the Sassanid Empire collapsed completely. The most important loss
Oh my
for the Christian
God.
world, though, was the loss of the Holy Land. By 900 AD, Islam had expanded, by conquest, all the way to France and southern Italy. Now, I'm
The more things change, the more they stay the same.
not going to moralize about this. Conquest and wars of expansion
Yeah.
have been common all through history, and Islam followed in that same mold. However, Islam did take things a step further with its concept of jihad, or holy war. Muhammad was a conqueror who took slaves, and Islam has sought to emulate his example ever since. As a side note, this is also why slavery has always been common in the Islamic world and continues to be practiced there to this very day. But regardless of the
I hear that a lot. They have slaves still.
morality of the Islamic conquests, they were, nonetheless, invaders who invaded the Christian world.
Damn.
Christians in conquered lands were second-class citizens, and many were taken as slaves. Christian inhabitants had to pay an enormous tax called the dhimmi tax, and their churches were often shut down. Because of Islamic policies, over the centuries, Christianity in the Middle East and North Africa shrunk from a large majority to a tiny minority. But it actually gets even worse.
How the Islamic escalation forged Christians in town.
During the days of
Is
the
this true?
Roman Empire, the Mediterranean Sea was a breadbasket of commerce and trade.
Yeah, sure.
The Romans had successfully stamped out piracy and created some of the safest waterways in the entire world. Islamic
This video is propaganda. Muhammad freed slaves? Oh, it's probably both. I mean, it's probably they had slaves in some cases. They don't have slaves in other cases. That's probably what happened, realistically.
piracy brought all of this to an end. From bases in
Yeah, you just gotta think about it.
the Middle East, they turned the Mediterranean into an unsafe hellhole. This crashed the European economy and made
Wait, so you're telling me that all the way back then, they were going out and fucking with boats? And now they're still going out fucking with boats? This was literally over 1,000 years ago. They've been fucking with boats for 1,000 years. 1,000 years! We're doing these guys fucking with boats! Oh my god!
Europe a miserable place for commerce for almost
That's what they
400
do, yeah.
Islam's so-called Golden Age came at Europe at Christianity's expense.
Uh-oh.
This is the true reason that many consider the years 600 AD to 1000 AD a dark age for Europe.
I thought it's 'cause of
It was
volcano.
literally cut off from the entire world and constantly under attack.
Uh-huh.
It was in this hellish environment that Christendom finally started to have enough.
Uh-oh.
The first rumblings for a crusade
Uh-oh.
came in 846 when an Arabic expedition to Sicily sailed up the Tiber River and sacked St. Peter's in Rome. A synod in France called for Christian sovereigns to rally against the enemies of Christ.
Jesus.
And the Pope, Leo IV, offered a heavenly...
Wait, don't we have a Pope Leo now? And wasn't Blackwater asking the new Pope Leo for money so they can help stop the attacks of Christians in... Oh my god. Dude.
Or to those who died fighting Muslims. But it was around 1000 AD when things really escalated on multiple fronts. In the west, the Islamic Caliphate of Cordoba in Iberia began expanding north. It conquered, burned, and enslaved its way through multiple Christian cities, including Barcelona and Leon. It was this expansion campaign finally provoked the Christian kingdoms to launch the Reconquista to retake Iberia from Islam. But if things looked rough in Western Christendom, they were even worse in the east. In the late 900s, a Central Asian Muslim group called the Seljuk Turks began migrating into Anatolia. In 1064, they completely conquered Armenia and sacked its capital, Ani.
Holy
The city
shit.
never recovered from this brutality and remains a ruin to this very day. Almost all of the Armenian population had to migrate southeast to Cilicia, creating an entire new kingdom called Cilician Armenia. In other words, Islam had made the Armenian homeland unlivable. The Turks then turned their expansion into the Byzantine Empire. They began invading western Anatolia in droves. The Byzantines tried to launch counterattacks, but were ultimately defeated at the Battle of Manzikert. After this defeat, Turks began mass migrating.
I didn't know this much shit happened before the Crusades. I had no idea about this.
Anatolia, completely altering its demographics. Another region of the Christian world had just become Islamic by force.
Man.
Here's how historian John J. O'Neill describes the circumstances. These, then, are the major political events which prefigured the First Crusade. Within a span of 35 years, the Turks had seized control of Christian territories larger than the entire region of France.
Holy shit.
And now they were a real threat to
That's crazy. Wow.
Europe. Now, by this point, the Byzantine Empire realized it was incapable of stopping the Islamic hordes by itself. Emperor Alexius Comnenus made a desperate appeal to the Pope and Western Christendom for aid. This was a major deal, because Eastern and Western Christendom had been in schism for almost 50 years by this point.
So they came
the
together?
Catholic Pope and the Orthodox Patriarchs did not get along,
Right.
to put it lightly. But the issue had become that serious
They actually came. Damn.
that they were now willing to cooperate.
Damn.
What made matters even more urgent was that Turks had begun persecuting Christian pilgrims in the Holy Land. Priests like Peter the Hermit, who would become one of the greatest advocates of the Crusades, witnessed this firsthand. This is the geopolitical environment that led to the First Crusade being called. Now, does it seem unreasonable when you get all of this other context? This is what Catholic Europeans knew about Islam on the eve of the First Crusade. Muslims were enemies of Christ. They waged wars against non-combatants and enslaved women and children. And they had conquered all of Iberia, Anatolia, and threatened France and Italy. It was important that this all happened at the turn of the first millennium. By this time, the elites of Europe were finally starting to become much wealthier and better educated. They were developing a much stronger grasp of history and world affairs. Europe was safer and more interconnected than any time since the Roman Empire. They were beginning to truly understand just how much damage Islam had done to the Christian world, and how much of a civilizational threat it still represented. All the pieces were now in place for the Crusades to be launched.
So did the Pope actually just... Did he... I don't know how this happened,
In
really.
1095, the moment had arrived. Pope Urban II called for the First Crusade to retake the Holy Land.
So the Pope actually called for the Crusade. Oh, fuck.
And drive back Islam. It would be the first of many. An excerpt from Urban's crusade speech reads, "Your brethren who live in the East are in urgent need of your help, and you must hasten to give them the aid which has been promised them. The heathens have killed many, and they have destroyed churches and devastated the Greek Empire. If you permit them to continue with impunity, the faithful of God will be much more widely attacked by them. On this account, I, or rather the Lord, beseech you as Christ's heralds to
Bro. No shit.
publish this everywhere, and to persuade all people of whatever end to carry aid promptly to those Christians. Let therefore hatred depart from among you. Let your quarrels end. Let wars cease, and let all dissensions and controversies."
So they just said stop fighting amongst each other and just go over there and kill them? I mean, that usually works, to be fair.
It's important to point out how Pope Urban's speech emphasized not only the defense of Christendom, but also the end of internal wars between Christian kingdoms. The Pope envisioned an international brotherhood of Catholics who fought not each other, but their external threats.
Hear that, guys? Catholics, not Protestants.
In any case, the call for crusade was extremely well received. The news spread through all of Europe like wildfire. Tens of thousands of faithful Catholics all across Europe answered the Pope's call. Lowly peasants, ambitious knights, even kings. French, English, Flemish, German, people from all walks of life and all nationalities were inspired to fight for Christendom.
Damn.
It's not really appreciated how much of an accomplishment that this alone was.
Well, I think it probably makes sense in the context, right? Because these people were having their homelands attacked, and I think that there's something that's going to go beyond just the religion. Whenever you're being invaded by an occupying force, you're going to generally be against that no matter what. Even if the occupying force is in some way benevolent or reasonable, you're still going to have people that will resist against it because they don't want to deal with it. Like now, well, in some cases, yeah. Sounds familiar? Yeah, it's common enemy, right? Exactly.
It's really something entirely unique in human history. The Catholic Church had created a multinational network that united Europeans of all stripes and ethnicities under a common faith with common goals. So many different Europeans being united by one religion and engaging in a civilization-wide struggle had not happened before and has not happened since.
God damn. Yeah, I didn't realize how historic this was, how big of a deal this was.
Catholicism achieved what hundreds of other religions and ideologies could not, and perhaps this is why our modern secular system demonizes the Crusades.
The voice!
Now, did every crusade always go the best it could have gone?
No, I bet there were tons of crusaders that were awful, right? It's the same as any war. I mean, any army, you're going to have guys that are awful and terrible that are inside of that group. I mean, that's not really anything that's unique or special. It's just common sense. Of course that's what's going to happen.
No, of course not. Some crusades were huge successes, like the Reconquista, while others were dismal failures, like the Fourth Crusade. But even the failures are understandable in context. Crusaders were going halfway across the world to fight unfamiliar enemies on their own home turf. The logistics of the Crusades alone were a monumental undertaking.
Yeah, that shit's hard to do.
Despite all these challenges, the Christian forces still often came out on top. The First Crusade could really only be qualified as a roaring success. Crusaders defeated almost every Muslim army they encountered and captured Jerusalem. For the first time in hundreds of years, the Holy Land was back under Christian control.
I read somewhere that the last time that a Muslim force had a victory against a Christian force in Europe was actually with Saladin. That was the last time that it happened, even up to now. That's kind of crazy. It's incorrect. I don't know if it's true or not, but yeah, it's hard to say.
The First Crusade also established crusader states that would remain in the Middle East for another century. One crusade I personally like was the Sixth Crusade. Jerusalem had fallen back into Muslim hands, but they had started to fight each other in a civil war. Emperor Frederick II of the Holy Roman Empire negotiated a peaceful transfer of Jerusalem back into Christian rule. Jerusalem was retaken without a single drop of blood being spilled.
Oh, that's nice.
Decisive diplomatic victory, even if the Muslims would eventually take it back. As you can tell, during this time period, it was hard for just about anybody to hold on to Jerusalem for long. In the end, the Crusade secured Christendom's western flank and bought its eastern flank another 300...
Who's controlling Jerusalem right now? I actually don't even know. Who's controlling it?
Even when it's hard to watch. Find sports, shows, and movies on YouTube at over 45...
So, the Muslims and the Christians fought over this and fucking died. Millions of them died for this shit. And neither of them have this. Israel has the Jewish people have it now. Israel has it now. Is that right? So all this was for fucking nothing.
I'm a soldier.
They got third party. Wow. That's crazy.
Years. It wasn't until the emergence of the Ottoman Empire in the 1300s that Islam once again threatened Europe. But even when that happened, Crusaders once again went out to stop them. The Crusade of Nicopolis and the Crusade of Varna are two big examples of this. While they didn't succeed in stopping the Ottomans, they did show that Christendom was still capable of uniting to fight common threats in the name of God. And in the end, 300 years later in the 1600s, Ottoman power would be broken by what was basically a crusade.
Ooh,
the Christian
Winged
Holy
Hussars.
League of Austria, Poland, Venice, and Russia united to defeat the Ottomans and drive them back from Europe. Despite all of this, some people say the Crusades failed. But did they? Europe was Christian when the Crusades were launched, and it's still majority Christian today, 1,000 years later, although it is secularizing due to modernist ideologies. Ironically, it's only after the Pope lost his power to call crusades that Christianity started to decline.
Well, who said the Pope can't call a crusade? Who decided that? Yeah, who decided that the Pope can't do crusades anymore? The Pope? So he could just change his mind. Yeah, so like theoretically, you could have another crusade. Like this could happen.
Europe. But when we look back at these events, history shows it's not a shameful chapter of Catholic history, but the total opposite. The Christian world defended itself and spread the faith abroad after hundreds and hundreds of years of abuse. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why the Crusades were awesome indeed. This has been Pax, and thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to see more videos, please consider supporting the channel. Also, leave a comment.
I'm sorry, but like, I cannot get over the irony of the Muslims and the Christians fucking fought and killed each other over Jerusalem for like 1,000 years, and now the Jews have it. Neither of us have it. It's the Jews that have it now. That's crazy.
And letting me know your thoughts on everything.
Yeah.
As always, I will see you in the next video.
Yeah, I mean, definitely probably a bit of a propaganda video. I mean, I'm sure, you know, it seems kind of obvious that, like, you know, there's one perspective that he's trying to give. But it's interesting to hear it, right? I mean, and I think that there's probably, like, the reality is that it's probably a little bit in between, right? That's what I would kind of assume. Churchill gave it to them? Yeah, what about Space Marines? Well, I don't know. There's the video. Give it a like, guys. And World War I was a religious war? I don't know about that. You should watch the video of Epic History. It's incredibly biased, and most of it was wrong, and it was nice to fit his narrative. Listen, I bet there's probably tons of Muslims that are like, no, the Crusades were awful. Tons of Christians that said, no, they were great. Like, yeah, wow, big surprise. The guys that are, you know, they're justifying the action that is on their side. Yes, I would have never expected that. I think that there's probably some, I mean, it's the same as anything else, right? Where it's like there's probably a degree of justification, there's a degree of opportunism, and there's a degree of just like geopolitics that go involved with this, right? But I do think that it seems like the Crusades were not a universal, like one-dimensional moral evil. I think that seems to be the case. It's not that they were necessarily always good, but it was not one-dimensionally evil.
MMA stars take the stage. Fighters only.
They won't budge, I'll never fall, the phone gun. I'm a soldier, even if my collarbones crush or crumble, I will never slip or stumble. I'm a soldier, these shoulders hold up so much, they won't budge. I'll never fall, the phone gun. I'm a soldier, these shoulders hold up so much, they won't budge. I'll never fall, the phone gun. I'm a soldier.